Hey, what's going on, guys? Mush back at it with another video. Of course, there has been a lot of chatter, a lot of talk surrounding the Epic Game Store exclusivities. I made a couple of videos taking a look at all of the games that were going to be Epic Games. We got 8 new game announcements, games like Control, games like The Outer Worlds, a couple of smaller games in there, but most surprisingly to me, and this is seemingly getting lost in the shuffle a little bit because it seems like people just want to pour their outrage out, and I can understand why. However, 3 pretty major PlayStation exclusives are headed to PC in Detroit Become Human, Beyond Two Souls, and Heavy Rain. Now, all of these games are Quantic Dream's title, a studio that puts out some pretty ambitious games, although they generally don't offer you your typical AAA big budget experience like, say, a God of War does, or a Marvel's Spider-Man. They're definitely big budget, but they try to tell these more compelling, intricate stories, and they do try to tackle some mature subject matters. It seems to be hit or miss on whether or not people really enjoy these games. I played all 3 of these, and I have varying opinions as far as the quality of each game, and we'll talk a little bit about that, and lack of hype about all 3 of these games coming to PC. Now, generally speaking, yes, while these games aren't your top tier PlayStation exclusives, they aren't at the tier of the aforementioned games like a God of War, Uncharted, Marvel Spider-Man. I would firmly put them a tier below that, maybe that tier 2 category, where you see a lot of other exclusive titles, maybe like a Shadow of the Colossus remake, and games like that. Definitely compelling games, however, they aren't those top tier exclusives that PC gamers always clamor for. Like, you're always gonna see clamoring for, say, a Bloodborne to come to PC, or an Uncharted 4, or a Last of Us. Were people really clamoring for Detroit Become Human to come to PC? No, but there are still interesting games, and I'm excited to see them come to PC. Now, the caveat is that, yes, they were announced as Epic Game Store exclusive titles. If these games were announced as Steam titles and they were coming to all platforms, I think the notion would be a lot different. I still don't think the hype and anticipation would be through the roof. However, I do think gamers would be excited inherently just on the fact of 3 PlayStation 4 exclusives coming to PC. In the case of Beyond and Heavy Rain, they're actually PS3 exclusives, but they got ported over to the PlayStation 4 as well, and they are PlayStation exclusives. You get the idea. Detroit Become Human, on the other hand, was a game that was just released last year, and maybe it got lost in the shuffle a little bit because it was released right between God of War and Marvel Spider-Man, so Detroit Become Human was kind of seen as that tertiary exclusive. But still, I thought it was a very good game, and I thought it was much better than Beyond Two Souls. But still, I thought it was a very good game, so to hear a recent PlayStation 4 exclusive come over to PC, you thought the excitement level would be a lot higher. Now, obviously, I'm sure the excitement is tempered a little bit because this got announced along with all these other exclusives coming to the Epic Game Store. Again, games like Outer Worlds, games like Control, games like The Sinking City. To bundle in those announcements together, I think that inherently took away some of the anticipation for Detroit Become Human, Beyond Two Souls, and Heavy Rain coming to PC, because so many gamers were just focused on the negativity that the Epic Store was bringing, where in this case, I actually think it's a positive occurrence, because here's the difference with these games being Epic Store exclusives to the other games that I just mentioned, and there's a couple things to digest. First of all, unlike the aforementioned games in the Outer World and Sinking City and Control even, these games were never announced for PC, these games were never announced for Steam, and more importantly, they were never promoted on Steam. That has been my major issue with all of these games being announced for the Epic Game Store exclusively for a year, mind you. However, they already use Steam as a promotional platform. I saw the Outer Worlds being promoted like hell on Steam, and for them to go back and backstab Valve like that, that is a messed up move. I'll point you the same thing with The Sinking City, which was a game that was scheduled to release this month, and then they delayed the game because they said they didn't want to release the game around the same time as a bunch of other games. I call BS on that. Don't tell me that there wasn't something related to the Epic Game Store exclusive announcement with that announcement. If we're saying that was just coincidence, I'm not buying it. However, in the case of Detroit Become Human, Beyond Two Souls, and Heavy Rain, they were never listed on Steam inherently, and they are coming to the Epic Game Store directly. And that's fine. Hell, we don't even know if Quantic Dream would have gone out of their way to port these games over to PC had Epic Games not come into play. Maybe they would have, maybe they would have not, but it's not my position to speculate on that, because at this point, we know that Epic Games probably paid Quantic Dreams a lot of money, and now these games are getting ported over to PC, and they will be Epic Games exclusives. I think in this case, that is fine. Would I like to see Epic Games ground up create their own games? Yes, and I hope a part of that team at Epic is doing that. They've got FU money with all the money they've made off Fortnite, you can definitely get some in-house studios to create exclusive properties. But this is a close second in that we don't know if these games would have become reality on PC had Epic Games not offered some sort of funding. And now, as far as details on what that type of funding is, we don't know. It's probably pretty substantial, as being Epic Game Store exclusives, we know that there's going to be a drop-off in sales, and you have to, you know, measure that accordingly with the money that you're getting from Epic up front and make sure that it equates out. It probably does, because again, Fortnite money is a lot of freaking money. So that is the big difference with all three of these games being Epic Store exclusives versus every other game. If Epic Games wants to make more decisions like this, where they acquire games that weren't on PC and they offer the funding to convince publishers and developers to bring those games over to PC, and they never were going to come to PC in the first place, and they're not promoted as Steam releases, that's one thing. I would still like to see a Steam release, but hey, if Epic wants to offer that type of funding and they want to make those games exclusive to their platform, I think that's okay. And with these three games, that's what you're seeing. I also offer you this. Does this open the floodgates for other PlayStation 4 exclusives to come to the Epic Store at some point? Now, there is a major difference with Detroit Become Human, Beyond Two Souls, and Heavy Rain versus all of the other first-party PlayStation 4 exclusives, in that these games aren't done by a first party. Quantic Dreams is not a Sony-owned studio. They are a second-party studio. So if you want to compare this to games like The Last of Us, God of War, and those titles, that's not fair, because God of War is done by Sony Santa Monica, of course a Sony-owned studio. The Last of Us is done by Naughty Dog, a Sony-owned studio. Marvel Spider-Man, however, is done by Insomniac. That is a second-party studio, and we have seen Insomniac games on PC like a Sunset Overdrive, but because it's Spider-Man, and because of Sony's backing with that project, it's going to require a lot of cooperation between Epic and Sony for that to happen. However, I don't put it past anyone. If Epic wants to throw millions upon millions of dollars at certain games, I mean, are you telling me you wouldn't play, say, a Marvel Spider-Man if it became exclusive to the Epic Store? There are some games that I do think will win gamers over. And at this point, with games like Detroit, Beyond Two Souls, and Heavy Rain, I don't want to get my anticipation way too high and my expectations way too high, but I do think the possibilities are endless for what could happen in the future if Epic wants to open out the checkbook and write out some massive checks. If you're thinking that Epic hasn't thought of this idea, and that, hey, can we get in bed with Sony and get some of their games on the Epic Store? And maybe they'll create an in-house studio to do all the porting themselves. I'm sure it's an idea that's been floated around. Now, would Sony be on board with that? I don't know. It's just something else I wanted to offer you guys, because I do see the rumblings about people thinking other PS4 exclusives could come to PC because of this, but there are a couple things to digest. You have to know about the fact that Quantic Dreams is a second-party studio. They're not first-party, so the door to do this was a little bit easier. We've gotten Quantic Dreams titles on PC before. I'll point to Fahrenheit Indigo Prophecy, but nonetheless, the conversational topics it offers is pretty interesting, and I don't think it's a complete far cry for something like that to happen in the future if the right cooperation is had. Okay, that's my spiel on the marketing and promotional side of these three games coming to PC. What about the games themselves? Well, Heavy Rain is a game I played back on the PlayStation 3 when it was originally released, and I think it is Quantic Dreams' best title. It was a very good game, received very well back then. Story super exhilarating, a lot of different endings, of course, a lot of different choices. I think the story is the best in Heavy Rain, and I'm excited to see that come to PC for sure. Beyond Two Souls, on the other hand, an absolute train wreck of a game. I think that was their worst games. It's compelling at times, however, it's also absolutely nonsensical at other times. So Beyond Two Souls is a game that, whatever, it's coming to PC, and that's pretty cool. But man, if it was just announced, like, say, Beyond Two Souls alone is coming to PC, yeah, I would just throw that away. I would be like, that does not interest me at all. But because it's bundled in with the other two games, hey, whatever, we're getting the game too, and I can get behind that. Probably not one that I'm going to play through again on PC, but nice to have the option. Detroit Become Human, on the other hand, while I don't think it was as good as Heavy Rain, definitely a substantial improvement upon Beyond Two Souls. Had a very compelling setting, very interesting setting, tackled a lot of interesting themes and nuances, and I thought that was a very good game as well. Again, not as good as Heavy Rain, but I would say that's either their second or third best game. It depends on where you rank Fahrenheit. Fahrenheit, for some people, is going to be their first best game, but out of these three, definitely, in my opinion, Heavy Rain is the best, then Detroit Become Human, then Beyond Two Souls. Just bear in mind that Heavy Rain is a little bit older of a title, and from a technical standpoint, it's not going to hold up compared to Detroit. Detroit is a visually stunning game, and you'll see from the system requirements, you know, it does recommend a GTX 1080, 16 gigs of RAM, and an Intel Core i7, a Sandy Bridge i7, but nonetheless, that's kind of high for a game that ran on the original PlayStation 4. Now, we haven't been indicated on what type of performance, settings, resolution that's for, so that would just all be speculation, but that is the recommended requirement. As far as the release dates for these games, we don't know yet. I imagine it'll be before the end of 2019. 2019. Quantic Dreams already has experience with PC releases. I'm sure the Epic funding isn't hurting either, and I'm sure Epic Store wants to diversify their library as quickly as possible. Another interesting note is that we don't know if these games are going to be one-year timed exclusives. With the other games like Control, The Outer Worlds, those games were defined as one-year Epic Store exclusives. With these ones, I'm not seeing any information on whether or not they're exclusives forever, one-year timed exclusives, because we don't know exactly what Epic is offering in terms of actually bringing these games over to PC. If it's a case where they're doing a lot of the porting work and they're offering a lot of the finances for this to happen, yeah, you would want to keep that game exclusive to your platform forever. If it's a case of these games were already planned to come to PC and then they offered some money for a timed exclusivity, then yeah, they could come to Steam down the line, but that's something that we'll have to see play out as the months roll on. And that's gonna conclude this video. Let me know what you guys think. It seems like there's not any excitement about these 3 games coming to PC. However, even though that they're Epic Store exclusives, I do think there's a level of excitement you guys can have. Also, pricing will be very interesting with these games. You cannot release these games at, say, $40 or $50 a pop. Right now on the PlayStation 4, you can get the Quantic Dreams collection with all 3 of these games available, and it's on sale for $30. Typically goes for $40. Hopefully the pricing is similar to that, but something tells me it might be a little bit more expensive than that, but we shall see. That's gonna wrap up this video, guys. Definitely let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Do you guys have any interest in these games? Are you gonna be picking them up on the Epic Store, or is the fact of it being exclusive to the Epic Store a big enough deterrent to you? Let me know in the comment section down below. As always, guys, thanks for watching. If you have a request for a future video, you can leave that in the comments as well, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace out. Hey, what's going on, guys? Mush here again. Hope you enjoyed the video. As you guys might know, YouTube's notification system is sometimes a little bit wonky, even if you're subscribed to the channel. Maybe you're not abundantly aware that I uploaded a video. To remedy that situation, make sure you hit the bell notification button. This way, whenever I upload a new video, and I try to upload as consistently as possible, you will be notified directly of the upload, and you can watch it as soon as it goes live. I would really appreciate if you guys hit that button so you can stay up to date with all of the content I'm posting. But as always, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.